Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Child Anxiety Fact Podcast. My name is Dawn Friedman, and I'm the owner of Child Anxiety Support, a membership for parents of anxious kids. I have my master's in clinical counseling and additional postgraduate training in child anxiety disorders, including exposure and response prevention and the Supportive Parenting for Anxious Childhood Emotions program, or SPACE program, which was designed by Dr. Ellie Lebowitz of the Yale Child Study Center. I'm also certified in infant-toddler mental health. FACT stands for Frequently Asked Questions, and each week I'll be answering your questions about childhood and teen anxiety. Let's get started. This week's question is, how do I get out of the reassurance loop? This is a great question because reassurance is the stickiest and the sneakiest pitfall in all of the parenting pitfalls. Let's talk a little bit about how reassurance can look, because some parents don't even realize that they're doing it or that they're stuck in it. It takes real attention and training ourselves to get out of this one. All right, so here are some examples of being stuck in the reassurance loop. A child asking you to weigh in on their decisions. Maybe every decision, maybe the same decision over and over again. A child asking repeatedly if you're mad at them, or is their teacher mad at them, or is their friend mad at them. Someone who keeps telling the same story over and over again. I think about this sometimes with middle schoolers who want to talk about a dramatic interaction between themselves and a friend, and they keep asking you to weigh in on it again. What do you think that means? What do you think they were really saying? A child who seems to crave approval, who always wants you to come and tell them if they did a good job on this, that, or the other thing. A child who needs you to check if their shirt is clean. Is this clean enough to wear out? Is the silverware that they're about to use clean? Did they wash their hands long enough? A child who asks you to come and evaluate a task. Did they clean their room enough? Is their homework good enough? If they want you to double check their work all the time. A child who is unable to move forward without clear directions, or who repeatedly consults with you as they progress. They want you to come and tell them, did I do this well enough so far? Am I doing it right? Am I following directions? A child who will say things to you like, I'm just stupid, or I can never get it, because they are looking for you to reassure them that they're smart and that they are going to get it. This is kind of a back-end passive way of asking for reassurance. A child who needs to confess to you either something they actually did or something they thought of doing, like a bad thought or a mean thought. And a corollary to this is a child who worries that they might do something and needs you to reassure them that they wouldn't. So this is a child who says, I almost did a search on YouTube you wouldn't want me to do, or I thought of tripping my brother. Parents get stuck in reassurances because they work for non-anxious kids. A non-anxious child will ask if things will be okay, and you tell them it will be okay, or they'll ask you to check their work and you say good job, and they move on. The anxious child, it's not enough. They keep coming back to you for more. They become more entrenched. So maybe they clean their room and you come and check it and say it's good, and that's fine. But the next time they clean their room, they keep checking in with you, or they point out things that they're not sure if this detail is okay or not. Is my bed too wrinkled? Come and check and make sure my bed isn't too wrinkled. But the non-anxious kid, it works. And so we do them. We just keep doing them, and we may not even notice that we're doing them. They become almost knee-jerk, a reflexive action. If you find yourself spending a lot of time on reassurances, if you find yourself preparing for, okay, I know they're going to need me to double check this. They're going to do their homework and I need to stay close by. They're going to need a lot of coaching and hand-holding and supervision. That means that you might be stuck in the reassurance loop. And to get out of that loop, you've got to first notice it. You have to notice how much you're in it. The person who asked this question for the podcast, how do I get out of the reassurance loop? Well, they're noticing at least some of the time that they're stuck in a loop. And now that they've noticed it and are catching it, they can stop it. I make that sound so easy, right? That you're just going to stop it. But that is literally what you're going to do is stop it. So first you're going to notice it. And often you will notice it after you've already done it. And you might feel hyper aware of all the times you're doing it. And that's great because you're on the first step of getting out of the loop is noticing how often you're stuck in the loop. And then the next step is stopping it. When you feel pulled to reassure, you're not going to reassure, you're going to do something different that is not reassuring. So your child says, "Will my teacher be mad at me?" And we answer, "I don't know. We're just going to have to see." Or our child says, "If you go out, what if you get hit by a car?" And we state the obvious, "You worry about me when I'm gone." Or our child says, "I'm so dumb that I'll probably fail math." And we offer, "Your anxiety is really being mean to you today." But we don't reassure. When we stop reassuring, our child is going to notice it. They want us to reassure them. They'll bug us and then they'll beg us. They'll whine and argue. They'll follow us around. They may melt down. That's part of the process. We cannot keep trying to make them comfortable. Remember, the key to anxiety coping is exposure to the things that make us anxious. Our children are asking us to make them comfortable with not knowing. But we can't make them comfortable with not knowing, not in the long term, which is why the reassurance needs step up. The first time we say you're going to be okay, they go, "Oh, that feels great. I'm going to be okay." But it's never enough, which is why they keep coming back. And that's how we get stuck in the loop. Instead, we need to expose our children to the reality that life is uncertain. There are no guarantees, and that's anxiety producing. We know that. It makes us anxious too. Learning to manage our anxiety is learning to manage uncertainty and the discomfort of not knowing for sure. Perfectionist kids, the reason they study all the time is they want the guarantee of good grades, of being perfect, of getting approval. And they have to learn how to deal with the reality that somewhere out there is someone who doesn't like them and who may judge them poorly. Somewhere out there might be an exam that they fail, no matter how hard they try, because life is not guaranteed. Once you understand then that your role is not reassuring, then it becomes more clear what we need to do. It's not to pretend that we're all knowing or that we can guarantee outcomes. It's to say to our child, "I am here with you when you are uncomfortable with the not knowing. You are not alone in the not knowing." Understanding that your parents cannot keep you perfectly safe and sound and comfortable is a stage for kids and for parents. Over and over again, we all need to confront the reality of our humanity, of our inability as parents to control the world, and they need to confront that inability in us too, the inability to keep them safe and sound and comfortable. It starts when they're infants and we can't get the pacifier to them fast enough. It continues on again when they're toddlers and the blue sippy cup is in the wash and all we have to offer is the red one. It happens again when they're 8 and we show up at the birthday party to pick them up late, or when they're 12 and we embarrass them in front of their friends, and on and on and on. Not reassuring is often uncomfortable for us too, because we like to make our kids happy. We like to comfort and soothe them. It is literally the job of parents to be there for our kids. And we, of course, ourselves struggle with the uncertainty of the world. We have intrusive thoughts about our children's safety and happiness. Those intrusive thoughts feel terrible. And so we also want the comfort of reassurance. It's okay to struggle with this, but remember, our job is not to make our child's world perfect. It's to love them while they wrestle with the imperfections of the world. One final thought here. I have noticed over and over again how often my relationship with the parents that I serve in some ways mimics their relationship with their kids. What I mean is, a parent who is learning to extricate themselves from the parenting pitfalls and is leaning on me for reassurance, they're checking, am I doing a good job? Is my child okay? I have to notice in myself that want to reassure them. And one of my jobs in the program is to pull back on them, to help the parent lean into the discomfort of uncertainty. And that's hard for me because I want to be there for parents in the same way they want to be there for their kids. I know this both as a parent and as someone who serves parents. So I'm learning it over and over and over again. I'm learning it along with you. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you have a question you would like me to answer on the show, please go to childanxietysupport.com/FAQ. And if you'd like to learn more about the Child Anxiety Support membership, please go to childanxietysupport.com. The membership offers courses, live events, and community to help you design a personalized program to free your family from the trap of child anxiety. I hope you'll consider subscribing to the podcast and sharing it with any friends or family who you think might find it helpful. You can get more of my child anxiety content over at Instagram, where I'm Dawn Friedman, MSED, or on Facebook at the Child Anxiety Support page. Thanks again, and have a great week.